Hey, good afternoon, everyone. Hey, I wanted to stop in here for a moment and just talk about something that I hear a lot as I'm talking with coaching clients and in the business arena on this whole concept about motivation. We talk a lot about motivation in just about everything we do, from physical fitness to getting off the couch to pursuing things in our business, whatever the case may be. We always have to have this sense of motivation to undertake anything worthwhile. And so, a lot of times as I talk to clients, they understand the importance of motivation, but they don't understand how do you identify the variables that go into somebody's level of motivation? And then more importantly, how do you use those variables to help understand where somebody's struggling to find the right motivation to get engaged and do what you know and they know they need to do? So today I want to spend some time talking about the motivational force equation. We hear a lot about it and talk about the variables that go into it so that you, as leaders, as folks pursuing your own goals, helping others achieve their greatest potential, you understand how to motivate them properly. The motivational force equation really consists of four variables: two that work to increase your level of motivation, and two that work against it to decrease your level of motivation in any given circumstance. The first variable, and we look at this as a kind of a division equation. So the equation looks like this. The motivational force, which is your level of motivation, is equal to your expectancy times your values divided by your impulsiveness times delay. And so today I'm going to spend a little bit of time talking about each of those four variables and why it's important that we understand them, recognize them, and then help others recognize them so that we can really get folks to unlock their true potential in both performance, productivity, and anything else they're undertaking. So the first one is expectancy, and expectancy is really about the notion of I believe that if I put in the time, energy, and effort it takes to do something, I will get the desired reward. So we expect that if we give something, we will get something. And so it's important that as we talk about folks who we want expectancy to be high, right? If we don't expect that we're going to get the reward that we're being told we're going to get, we're not going to undertake something. If I told you that by watching this video that I would give you $1,000,000, most of you wouldn't expect that I'm really going to give you $1,000,000 for watching the video. However, if I told you that if you got off the couch and started going to the gym 3 times a week and exercising under a specific regimen of workout, that you would start to see decreased fat loss, increased muscle tone, better clarity, better focus, and just an overall better feeling about yourself. Most of you would expect that. So what we want to do with a person who is struggling in the expectancy arena with low expectancy is we want to make sure that we have a clear understanding for them of the reward of their action or effort. So we want to take time to really lay that out for them. And then when we see them struggling and we see expectancy dip, which it will for all of us, we want to bring them back to the rewards of their effort, help refocus them on the rewards of their efforts. The next piece of the top part of this equation is values. And again, we want a high alignment of with our values of whatever it is we're undertaking. If something is misaligned to your values, you're not going to want to pursue that. If I told you that, let's say that you don't like to eat meat, and I told you that we were going to go out and have a nice full course meal of nothing but meats, that misaligns with your values, and you're not going to be motivated to go out and eat with us. In much the same way, your values represent your inner drive. These are your belief, your why, your purpose for what you're doing. And so when we see somebody who's struggling with this values alignment, we want to clarify their values and their passion for what they're doing. When we see a clarity of values and passion, it's going to solidify their purpose for what they're trying to do. And that solidification of purpose is going to increase their alignment with value even more. And we're going to see this spike in their value, and that's going to help drive motivation to achieve the desired goal. Now, on the bottom of this equation, we have these things that like to steal our motivation. They actually, for every one step forward, these things will try to pull us 5 steps back if we're not careful. And the first one that we talk about is impulsiveness. And this is how easily we become distracted by something when we're undertaking the actions to accomplish a goal. And we call these things, like, we give them fancy little names like obstacles and distractions. But really what they are is they're alternatives to what we should be doing. And so when we don't have a high expectancy and high alignment to values, we're more likely to suffer in the impulsiveness arena, and we'll become swayed to do something else, and we won't do what we need to be doing. And so how do we tackle that? How do we tackle it for ourselves, and how do we help other people tackle it? Well, the first step is to do this thing called mind modeling, where we actually sit down and we play out the specific circumstances that might take place as we're doing this. So if I start to mind model and I say, okay, these are the obstacles that might come up, these are the distractions that might come up, it helps me recognize them early, call them out for what they are, and put into place a plan of action to overcome them when and if they do arise. And so mind modeling is a great way to decrease impulsiveness by recognizing our tendency early on. Now, in the same way, if a person really has a high sufferance from impulsiveness, a lot of times we want to go back and look at the cognitive distortions we've talked about in other videos. What are the little lies that we tell ourselves that become big lies? What are the things that are helping us become complacent in doing what we need to do, and then we become complicit in the results that we get? When we are complacent in our actions, we are complicit in the results that we get. And that's important. So when we talk about impulsiveness, we want to understand, is it an issue with expectancy? Is it an issue of values? We need to mind model it, and we need to tackle those cognitive distortions. In doing so, you will bring down the level of impulsiveness. And that is what we want. That's the goal for this motivational force equation. The final piece is delay. And delay is just like this. When you were in college and you knew you had a midterm, but you really weren't motivated to study for it until the last minute, when you knew you were at the threshold of taking the exam the night before and you crammed to do what you needed to do. Well, this is called delay, and we all suffer from it in some form or fashion. But it is essentially how far apart we postpone the work before we actually do it. So we know the action step we need to do. We know the next step. We know what we need to do in our business, in our physical fitness, in our spiritual, whatever it might be, and we don't do it. We delay doing it until it's now a necessity. And you're never going to get the best results if you wait till it's a necessity. You're just not going to do it. So, we have this thing called the law of diminishing intent, which basically states the longer I delay in doing something, the less likely that I am to actually do it. So the more we delay, the easier it becomes, and eventually we find ourselves going, why didn't I ever do that? Well, the reality is that we just kept delaying it to the point where we no longer needed or wanted to do it until now we're looking back in regret, right? We became complicit in the result that we now face. So the way to tackle delay is to go back again and look at the underlying cause. And usually it goes back to the top of the equation. If I'm delaying in doing something, it's because I don't really expect I'm going to get the reward, or it's not really defined clearly why this is important to me. And so if you go back to those two pieces and look at it, you will find that you will decrease delay for folks or for yourself. You'll decrease delaying going to the gym. You'll decrease delaying doing your work necessary as an entrepreneur to really grow your business. You'll decrease delaying and wasting time and becoming complacent and then becoming complicit in your results. You want to be happy with your results. We want you to go for great. We want you to achieve your maximum potential and to help those around you achieve their maximum potential. And one of the best ways to do that is to understand the power and unlock the method behind the motivational force equation that we talked about today. Thank you for your time today, and as always, go for great.